I am your poetic haiku host, Kim B. Miller, the first African American poet laureate for Prince William County, Manassas, and Manassas Park, Virginia, award winning spoken word poet, facilitator, speaker, teaching artist, author. Let's get into today's subject. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Poetically Thinking. I'm your host, Kim B. Miller. So, what's today's subject? Well, let's talk about pain. Because what amazes me about pain is how people try to explain other people's pain for them, like nobody asked you. And let's get over some basics that you can't define nobody's pain but your own. And yes, I'm talking poetically thinking, so I'm not going to always use the Great King's English, blah, 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 blah. So, where did we start with that? Where did we even get the idea that it was okay for us to define what someone else is going through? Who started that? Well, I don't know who starts it, but we need to end it. You don't have the ability to explain anybody's pain but your own. Now, parents, let's talk for a quick second because somehow we have talked ourselves into believing that our kids don't go through anything because they didn't go through what we went through. Stop. Every person has their own personal journey that they're walking on, littered with pain and problems and issues. Stop saying, yeah, I don't have anything to go through, blah, 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 blah. Stop it. Of course they do. If you've ever walked into a school lately, especially, you'd know that. When you went to school, did you have how not to get killed drills? Oh, right, they don't call it that. They call it safety drills, or if there's an active shooter drill. But you get my point. The point is, a lot of us did not have to go through that. And the pain of having to go through that day after day is going to affect anybody, especially our kids. Now, the problem is we think we have the right. This is one time Miranda is right. We do have the right to remain silent, and we should use it when someone else is describing their pain. Because we have started this pain Olympics, I call it. And that was not my original saying. So if someone else said it first, I'm not saying I said it first. Pain Olympics is when someone is telling you their story, and the first thing you do is go, well, here's what happened to me, or my pain was bigger than yours, or blah, blah. Nobody who is telling you a story wants to get into an argument with you or a discussion with you about how your pain affects their story. We need to become better listeners. Remember, I told you this is live, that sometimes stuff is going to chime in. We need to become better listeners. Even if you have a story that actually goes with that, it doesn't mean it's the exact same problem, the exact same way, because you're different people. You are different people. It can't be the exact same pain. Oh, your mother died. Well, I understand because my mother died. You don't understand. You can say something similar like, my mother died. I can't imagine what you're going through, because you cannot imagine what they're going through, even if you had a similar situation. Stop saying you know what they're going through. You do not. But the good thing is, no one is expecting you to. No one's asking you to go, well, I exactly know. A lot of times people just want you to listen and hear them and understand them. And let me adjust this just a second. It's giving me a vibe I don't like. Hold on. I told you when we live, things gonna happen. So you need to just be a better listener. We all do. What are they trying to tell me? Are you listening to make a statement right after? Or are you listening and hearing for what they're going through? Are you listening for the feelings they're telling you? Are you listening for the pain that they're telling you? Are you listening for what they actually want you to hear, and not so you can have the greatest response in the world? Sometimes people just want to vent, and they want to go to someone who's not going to talk over them, half listen, give them advice when they didn't ask for it. Pain is very personal. And with that, We have to understand that we're not always going to have the answer even when we want to. So for those of you who have pain and you wonder, well, I did ask them for advice, but what they came up with was ridiculous. That wasn't helpful. That wasn't that because that's not their ministry or that's not their journey or that's something ultimately you may need to figure out. Just because they didn't give you the best advice doesn't mean they don't care. Sometimes we put too much on other people too as far as fixing our issues. Sometimes if we waited, if we made the bed and we're laying in it and then we're asking somebody else, well, how did I get here? Well, you're the one who ordered the bed, made it, got the sheets and everything. How are you asking us how you got there? Now, once you explain how you got there, if you're willing and open to some advice, we could help you there. But it doesn't mean that's going to be advice you need for the situation you're in. Because people tend to tell a story in a way that suits them, or they don't look as bad as they don't want to look, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So keep all that into mind. It's not that people are trying to be secretive, and some people are because they don't want you all in the business. Because some of us do get a little bit too involved. Mm? We have to know the background and the super background and the stuff you're not telling me. So yeah, how about that part? But if you give up trying to put their pain in a certain definition, give up trying to label it, if you're not a psychiatrist or a therapist, don't try to give it a psychological name or try to make it something fancy if that's not your wheelhouse. It's all right for you to stay in your lane. It's perfectly all right. But don't say something that's not true just because it sounds effective. This I heard this on filling the name of the show, so I'm gonna throw this out. Sounds like, because now everybody, what's a new thing? A narcissist. Everybody's a narcissist. Like, do we really know what that is? And how is it all of us all of a sudden doctors and can figure out what a narcissist is? That's another buzzword because a lot of buzzwords start now. I'm not saying that you're not labeling some people correctly because some people may be. I don't know that. But I'm not at a stage that I could say, oh, so and so is definitely one and so isn't. And a lot of us who are using the labels cannot make that definition either, if we're being honest. So you have pain that makes you human. That does not make you abnormal. Don't let all these posts and people posting and all this stuff say, well, wow, it's just me. It's me. I'm the only one who. No, you're not the only one. It's just that sometimes people don't want to post their pain, and they have that right too. People can post the things that they want to post and not post the things they want to post. But what I'm trying to get you to see is you having pain makes you human. It does not make you strange. All the happy posts you see may be happiness at the moment, but not doesn't mean that person's happy their entire life. Don't take a temporary moment in someone's life and make it their permanent path. I'm going to say it again. Don't take a temporary moment in someone's life and make it their permanent path. You met them at a happy time. You saw yourself at a happy time. Misery is not permanent. Let me repeat that one. Misery is not permanent unless you feed it to yourself every day. Look for it every morning. Ask yourself for it every afternoon. You say, who would ask you? Who does that? It's all in your internal dialogue. What's your conversation with yourself? I deserve this because such and such, because you did something bad. Some of us think we deserve the pain we're in because we did such and such to so and so, or we did something bad in our past, or something happened, or whatever the case may be. Some of us actually have talked ourselves into believing this is some sort of karma coming back at us, and we just have to sit with it. What if it isn't? What if this is something you're self-inflicting? What if this is self-inflicted pain that you need to heal in order to continue? What if it's not karma? What if it's not based on something that happened in your past? And even if it is something that happened in your past, you can live and grow from it. Doesn't mean karma takes up a whole guest bedroom in your house in your head. What's the lesson? Karma doesn't just come to stay with you for the rest of your life. You're supposed to learn a lesson. So what's your lesson? Have you learned your lesson? Or Haiku. How many times do you have to fall before you stop tripping yourself? How many times? Haiku. If truth was used as a currency, many of you would still be broke. No truth. No truth. And you're still tripping yourself for something someone said about you that may or may not have been true. If it wasn't true, you're letting that pain grow and you're watering every day in your head. If it was true, it doesn't mean you didn't outgrow it. But if you're still playing that record in your head, those lyrics, you're going to keep living it. Pain is an indication to you that there's something there that needs to be fixed, not something there that needs to be ignored. Let's say it again. Pain is an indication that there's something there that needs to be fixed, not something there that needs to be ignored. Because pain is like, I don't know what never leaves. Pain is one of those things that will never move out unless evicted. You need to evict your pain, and you're not going to evict your pain if you don't heal the cause of the pain. It's not throw band-aids on pain. That doesn't work. I'll just ignore it. That doesn't work. So what are you going to do to get yourself out of the situation where your pain is in your every thought? Again, therapy is not a curse word. And if you have to take a pause, as I said previously, a pause is not a punishment. If you need a break or to take some time aside, do it. Health is wealth. I don't know who wrote that or made it up. It was not me. But our mental health is just as important as our physical health. And sometimes we get so involved in making sure we're a certain size, but we're not making sure our mental health is in good condition, making sure we feel whole. What in the past is still lingering in our head? What current pain, what new pain has come up? You may find a link between the new pain and the old pain. You may say, wow, every time I get into a situation, I feel hurt. Everybody keeps hurting me. Why does everybody keep hurting me? Wait a minute. I keep using that word hurt a lot. Is everybody hurting me, or do I have a soft spot for hurt? And if I do, where did it start? So that's when you start pulling back the onion, the layers, and start figuring out where did this originate so you can get to the core of the problem. If not, you just say, that person hurt me, that person hurt me, that person hurt me, that person hurt me, that person hurt. We keep using the same emotion over and over again. You could be accurate, yes. I'm not saying that's impossible. But you may have a condition associated with that you've never looked at. And again, I'm no therapist, any of that thing, psychologist, or any of that. I'm just trying to get you to peel back, look at you as a whole person, and see who you are and see who you aren't. And understand that your pain is your pain. There's going to be people who've gone through something greater in your mind or greater in their mind. That does not make your pain any less important. So please, don't think of pain as, well, I have this, but my friend has this. I have this, but my mother has. Okay, you still have to live it. You still have to go through it. You still have to solve it. So the fact that, let's assume that theirs is greater. Let's go there for a minute. Even if theirs is greater as you say it is, you still got to work your way through yours. So whatever you need to do to get whole, therapy, counseling, walking, breathing exercises, getting to the core of your pain is going to be step one. Because what you don't want to do is add a band-aid to something that needs an antibiotic. You want permanent change to the pain, not, well, I didn't think about it for 2 minutes, but I'm right back where I started. So how do you do that? You got to dig deep. A lot of this is going to be some self-evaluation, self-analyzation, and a lot of this is going to be stuff that if you don't feel comfortable doing with yourself, get you a good therapist. But there's nothing wrong with you looking at who you are and deciding the pain I've lived with since I was this age, the pain I remember since I was 5 years old, the pain I recently have with this person does not have to be a permanent part of your life. It doesn't. Sometimes we kind of settle for like this. I, I guess this is how my life is supposed to be. I'm just supposed to be suffering. No, no, you're not supposed to be suffering. That's not who you were made to be. That's not your calling. That's not your ministry. That's not your life unless you make it that. And I'm asking you not to make it that. I'm asking you to look beyond the not the meaning of the word pain, beyond being willing to sit alone with your pain and look for solutions. And if a solution means you get outside help, get help. I know a lot of people think there's a stigma attached to that. I disagree with that. Any other place, if I told you I had cancer and I said, well, I'm not going to do anything, you're not going to get any help, you look at me like, well, what are you going to do? Well, I cut my hand. You're going to do anything? No, I'm just going to let it bleed out. You'd be like, wait, get some help. Well, you deserve help too. You are worth it. All right? Don't forget, time will end for all of us at a certain point. And before that time, let's do the best we can. I'll end with this haiku. Haiku. If your pain runs deep, why is your response so shallow? Read that again.